Today we are doing a subscriber-based video series where you guys, the nation, give me some of your hot takes that you think should happen with our beloved Las Vegas Raiders. Now, if you want to potentially be featured in upcoming future video, just make sure to be subscribed to the channel and just watch out for the community tab post. But today in this video series, we're going with two subscribers because their comments essentially go hand in hand. And for this video, we're going to give a huge shout out to Robert Pena 9293 and Auntie Six Soldier. These comments include Cam Ward or bust and trade up to the #1 overall pick and take Cam Ward. And currently Cam Ward is slated to be the consensus QB1 of the 2025 NFL draft class, and for good reason. I mean, the kid is a phenomenal athlete. He is the most dynamic playmaker by far when it comes to throwing the football and using his legs. And when you're talking about Cam Ward, you're talking about a quarterback that has a very strong arm. He has excellent zip and velocity when it comes to throwing the football. He's a great dual threat quarterback, has good accuracy, can throw the ball on the move, and has great improvisational skills, especially when things break down in the pocket. And he is your prototypical new age NFL style quarterback. And to me, he definitely has the upside to potentially be a star at the quarterback position. The only issue is with the Raiders being at #6, he is very likely right outside of the range of where you can just draft him straight up. That would be an ideal situation if we just could select him at 6, but I think there's no way in hell he's going to fall to #6. So essentially, if the Raiders want him, I think they're going to have to trade up for him. Most mock draft analysts have him either going #1 overall to the Tennessee Titans or #2 overall to the Cleveland Browns. And I definitely agree with that. I think the absolute worst case scenario for him is that he falls to #3. And at that point, the New York Giants are not going to pass him up. So you're talking about a guy that is a lock to be a top 3. So with the Raiders being right outside, I mean, if the Raiders, their front office, the coaching staff, if they are sold on quarterback Cam Ward, they're going to have to trade up. So let's just talk about Cam Ward, his strengths, his weaknesses, his college stats, and what it may take in terms of draft capital to move up for him just based on recent draft history when it comes to trades. Now, Cam Ward's college career dates back to 2020, where he was at Incarnate Ward from 2020 to 2021. And in 2020, he had over 2,200 passing yards, 24 touchdown passes, 4 interceptions. And in 2021, he broke out nearly 4,700 passing yards, which is an FCS record, 47 touchdown passes, 10 interceptions. He then made the move to Washington State. He had over 3,200 passing yards, 23 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. And in 2023, he had 3,700 passing yards, 25 touchdown passes, 7 interceptions. And his most recent season when he transferred to the University of Miami, 3,800 passing yards, 37 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, and 71.5 completion rate. So when it comes to the college level, he has produced year in and year out in multiple different systems and offensive schemes. For his college career, he has 17,683 passing yards, 156 passing touchdowns, 35 interceptions, and his completion percentage is approximately 67.7 throughout his college career. Now, when it comes to his strengths, one of his most notable ones is the arm strength. He has one of the strongest arms in college football, making all types of throws with velocity and accuracy. He's also noted for his leadership on and off the field and performing in crunch time. One clear example was this season against California, where he led them to a game-winning drive. In that game, he threw for 437 yards, including a critical 80-yard drive in the final minutes to win the game. In that drive, he displayed calmness under pressure. He had great poise, and he showed his ability to create plays as a playmaker at the quarterback position. I'd also say his proven ability to adjust to different offensive systems across 3 different colleges is also a strength. His improvisational skills are second to none in this year's draft. He is absolutely excellent at extending plays with mobility, often turning potential negative plays into positive ones. His accuracy is really good when it comes to throwing the football, especially when it comes to throwing on the move or from various different arm angles. Now, some of his weaknesses, though, is some people note that sometimes he tends to drift too much in the pocket, which can lead to sacks or ill-advised throws. His decision making at times, he has shown over-aggression, which has led to turnovers, and his consistency at times has swayed. His overall stats are very impressive, but there have been some games where his performance has varied. But when you're talking about a college quarterback, I feel like you can say that to any quarterback in this year's draft. And some people have criticized his overall technique when it comes to his footwork. He can have lapses in this department, especially when pressured, which has affected the accuracy. But just watching the guy play, though, he makes incredible throws time in and time out. And when you're just talking about a quarterback, this guy checks off literally all the physical traits that make him super intriguing and give him a lot of upside as a star in the NFL. He has great size, 6'2", 223 pounds. He has a big, strong arm. He's fast, he can use his legs, and he's just an overall playmaker. So this is a type of quarterback that I think has the highest upside in the draft. And although he will have to develop a little bit, I mean, the thing with Cam Ward is he came into the college football scene as a zero-star recruit and eventually worked his way up to the University of Miami, where he very likely could be the #1 overall pick. So to be a zero-star recruit and eventually work yourself to be a potential top 3 NFL draft pick, that says a lot about your work ethic and your ability to improve as a quarterback, and I absolutely love that. And I think the Raiders are finally in a position where they may be able to take a risk on a young quarterback that has high upside, because I just feel like coming into the Raiders, this could be a good situation when it comes to the coaching department. I am really confident in our new offensive coordinator, Chip Kelly, and his ability to call plays for a young quarterback, to tailor the offense around his skill sets and his strengths. And I think that's a huge part of a young quarterback being successful. Work to his strengths, make the game easier for him early on. So when you're talking about Cam Ward, I definitely have him as my QB1, and I would love for him to be in the silver and black. But as I mentioned earlier, the biggest issue the Raiders are going to run into is how do they obtain him? And to estimate what it would take for the Las Vegas Raiders to move up to the #1 overall pick, we can just look at 2 significant trade-ups in recent NFL draft history for context. And the most recent one is the 2023 draft, where the Panthers traded to the #1 overall pick from the Chicago Bears. The Carolina Panthers had the #9 overall pick in that season. And to move up, they gave up a lot of draft capital. They gave up 2 first-round picks, that #9 pick in 2023, and a 2024 first-round draft pick. They gave up 2 second-round picks as well. And they gave up a high-value player and wide receiver, DJ Moore. So right there, you're just talking off the bat, 2 first-rounders, 2 second-rounders, and a player. And the next trade-up we can look at is in 2021, when the 49ers traded up to the #3 overall pick. The Niners were at #12. They moved up 9 spots with the Miami Dolphins. And in that one, they gave up in total 3 first-round picks, 1 being that #12 overall pick, and a 2022 and 2023 first-round pick. And they also gave up a 3rd-round pick. So to move up in that draft, 3 first-rounders and 1 3rd-rounder. Now the Raiders, we are at 6, so that is better than the Panthers that were at 9 and 12. But still, it's going to be a very similar situation, I feel like. Especially since if you're trading up to the #1 overall pick, or even if Cam Ward fell to #2 and you try to trade up with the Cleveland Browns, the same situation is going to apply, because at that point, NFL teams are going to know you are trading up for a quarterback. And in that situation, NFL teams are going to use the quote-unquote quarterback tax on you. And that's just the reality of the situation. The quarterback position is such a valuable position. It's the one position that year in and year out is always in high demand. So you're always going to have to pay more in a situation like that if you're trading up for a quarterback, compared to if you're trading up in the draft to try to get another skill position, another player in a different position. It won't cost as much. So if the Raiders want to trade up for Cam Ward, at the bare minimum, I'm thinking you have to give up 2 first-round picks and 2 additional picks, very likely like second-round picks. So a hypothetical trade compensation package for the Raiders moving to number 1 would be their 2025 number 6 overall pick, 2026 first round pick, and you would have to give up your second round pick in 2025, and in 2026 you would have to give up either a second or third rounder. And you never know, they might want a little bit more, or maybe they're going to want a player. Maybe you could throw a player in there to sweeten the deal. But to me, if you want to trade for Cam Ward, you're giving up a lot of draft capital. And the biggest question mark is, are the Raiders in a position to do that? Would it be wise for us to trade all that draft capital? You know, it's an interesting question because you can look at it 2 different ways. If you trade up all this draft capital, like for one, you have to be super sure. You have to be very confident in Cam Ward's ability to be a game changer at the quarterback position. So obviously you could give up all that draft capital, and if he turns out to be the next star, then it's definitely worth it. But you can also argue that the Raiders have a lot of holes on this roster, and by trading up all that draft capital, it could hurt us to put the right pieces and right weapons around a young quarterback like Cam Ward for him to truly succeed. You know, especially that second round draft pick. I mean, I think that's a very valuable draft pick as well, especially with us being so high. That's essentially almost like a first rounder in itself. There's going to be good quality players available with that draft pick. And the only thing that concerns me is if we did this move to trade for Cam Ward, you know, the Raiders still have some needs at key positions. We definitely got to upgrade the interior of the offensive line. Now, they could potentially do that in free agency. Maybe they go out and get a Trey Smith, offensive guard from the Kansas City Chiefs. We need a running back, but I will say this NFL draft is deep with running back talent. And I definitely think you can get a quality running back in this year's draft from the 3rd to the 5th, 6th round. So I'm not super worried about that. And just in general, the Raiders have a lot of holes on this roster. We do have a lot of cap space, so we could be big spenders in free agency, but there's also a lot of players that we have to re-sign. So overall, I love Cam Ward. I love him as a prospect, but I just don't know if I love him enough to trade up all that draft capital to move up for him. So that is where the Raiders are at currently. I do really like Cam Ward as well too, but I don't know if I love him over other draft prospects that I've seen in recent years. So I definitely would be hesitant on trading for Cam Ward. Now, if something crazy happens and he begins to fall, if he's there at 4 or 5, then maybe the Raiders can make that move. Every draft pick that he falls just means less draft compensation you're gonna have to give up for him. But Raider Nation, I definitely want to know what you guys think in the comment section down below. I haven't talked a whole lot about Cam Ward in my recent videos just because I feel like it's not super attainable, but you know, I definitely want to get you guys feedback in the comment section down below. This is a fun topic to talk about, and I want to see what you guys think. Do you guys like Cam Ward, and do you think the Raiders should invest all that draft capital to move up for Cam Ward to be the potential franchise quarterback of this football team? Let me know in that comment section down below. But with that being said, Raider Nation, that is all I have for you guys in today's video. Anybody that is new to the channel, you guys love Raider related content just like this, make sure to like, comment, subscribe to the channel. That being said, I will see you guys in the next one.